Still with me, trial and civil attorney Dante Mills, criminal defense attorney, and former prosecutor David Bruno as well. Gentlemen, let's go to our first comment. It comes from Steve. Steve says, this so-called expert has been totally discredited. She is very unimpressive. Letecia Stauch is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And Dante, that seems to be the overall sentiment. I want to call up quickly a poll we did online. And I think, what are the numbers? I know they were trending very, very, very much so against Letecia Stauch. Letecia Stauch has admitted to killing her stepson Gannon, but her defense wasn't really an alternate personality called Maria. That's indicative of what we saw. It was about 98% in favor of the fact that there's no Maria and this was all Letecia. Your thoughts quickly.
It's a one-sided poll, for sure. And I think,
very one-sided.
I think for good reason. This may be the only person in the world who would have adopted this theory, this doctor here. It seems like she wanted this to be true, so she tried to find any piece that she could. Oh, I had the ability to talk to them and ask them to come out. You know, she made certain leaps that I don't think any other doctor would have made. I think she was result-based, and she found a way to get there.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, our next comment comes from Susan. Susan says, this expert is hard to listen to. The defendant is not mentally ill, she's a killer. All this expert is doing is trying to make a case for Letecia belongs in a mental ward. She belongs in a prison. And you know what, David, that confirmation bias here and the fact that oftentimes you'll get an expert and it seems like they want to find this type of thing. She was so certain there was a psychosis here and she didn't know right from wrong. I didn't get that at all from what I saw.
I agree. Let's get back to the facts, right? Because it's one thing for a forensic expert to be in a room with a charged defendant with every reason to lie and malinger. And it's a disorder that it's recognized in the DSM, malingering. That's actually what this is right here. And there's nothing to support it in the record before or immediately thereafter, including the people in her life that never saw these alternate personalities prior to the homicide. Her actions on the date of the homicide, the cover-up, and everything she did and said thereafter just points exactly to the fact that she murdered this individual with her right mind and not under this defense.
Yeah, now we heard some stuff about her taking other names, but at the end of the day, her brother said she just didn't like her name Letecia, so that's why she started taking on all these other names. She started taking it to a whole new level. Our next comment comes from Amy. Amy says she can't produce anything but remembers thinking things. She's not effective at all. In fact, she is counterproductive to the defense. Dr. Lewis seems to think she has to find something wrong with someone because she's evaluating them. I believe her experience is outdated as she was a pioneer decades ago. And I think, you know, you want to stay away from ageism and things of that nature, but I think there was an element of that here. She couldn't remember a lot of things, Dante. There was some mix-up, and then there was some of the things she said contradicted themselves. There was a lot of that going on that might, or possibly could be attributed to age.
I'll step out of ageism, but I will say that there's this thing that's happening in the new generations where you went to school or your training or things like that, it doesn't mean as much as it did before. They want to see practice and recent practice. So before, if I had an expert on the stand that went to Harvard, everybody would believe everything they said, right? But now they want to say, well, you went to Harvard, but that was 30 years ago. What have you done lately? Are you treating patients recently? You know, what advances are you doing or keeping up? So that is the shift that I'm seeing, and I think that's taking place here.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And to that point, people also say, well, you couldn't have gotten an expert that was a little more current, a little more now, and that kind of plays into it as well. All right, Dante Mills, David Bruno, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Truly appreciate it as always. Folks, coming up next, we're going to review the 3 things that we've learned today.